It is Julian Moffit back with another episode of NOBULL. Sorry for not uploading a video last week. Just had some technical difficulties. New pet, aka Fendi, likes to chew up laptop cords, so had to deal with that. Rectified it for this week and are back with another video. This week I want to get into a conspiracy, so to speak. Not going to have any other topics really. Just going to kind of bounce around this topic here because I think it's kind of important for the general discourse of our political environment today. One of the things that I wanted to address first is that considering Congress is essentially out on vacation as of right now, there isn't really much in the way of policy going on. The Senate is still in session because Mitch McConnell is trying to slam through Brett Kavanaugh, Donald Trump's second nomination for a Supreme Court judge, before the midterms in November. One reason is because Republicans see that through special elections and just general polling as of right now, they're more than likely going to get decimated when it comes to the midterm elections in November. One thing, though, is that we do have issues with the Russians, as well as possibly other foreign actors trying to infiltrate and still tear us apart at the seams within our democracy, polarizing us, backing up things like abolishing ICE or Unite the Right rallies where white supremacists come out and march for, their white supremacy rights. One of the things that I've found generally concerning is this conspiracy theory called QAnon, which is essentially a conspiracy theory that paints Donald Trump as this somewhat of a deep state corruption disruptor. QAnon started sometime back in October of last year. And what happened is that somebody pledging to have a Q-level security clearance, which is a Department of Energy security clearance, started dropping what they call crumbs online, which were really more just rhetorical questions about random things. Essentially, what the QAnon conspiracy theory asserts is that Donald Trump is this person who is leading the charge, along with Robert Mueller, to take down a pedophilic cabal that includes Hillary Clinton, Obama, Democrats, and other people high up in all places. I'll just let some of these QAnoners tell you. Some reporters were kind of stunned to see that this conspiracy theory has made it mainstream nowadays. And so they went to a couple of Donald Trump's rallies that happened this week. Yes, he had 3 rallies this week, like he's still campaigning. But they went to a couple of the rallies, and this is some of the things that they saw and heard.
Are you holding a big red, white, and blue Q? Why do you have that?
It's a movement, man. It's the shift. I can feel it coming. Some call it the Great Awakening.
You're wearing a shirt that says Q, WWG, 1WGA. What does that mean?
It means where we go one, we go all.
QAnon is the people that believe in what Trump's trying to do to change our country.
That is a generalization. More specifically, what QAnon is a fringe movement in which many baseless conspiracy theories are discussed on the internet, organized around the idea of an anonymous but well-connected person or persons nicknamed Q.
Your shirt says the storm is here, QAnon. What does that mean to you?
Well, I've been following all the posts since October 28th.
On the internet, from QAnon.
Right, started on
the person or people who say they're Q.
Right.
What do you think Q is, by the way?
It's an entity of 10 or less people that have
involved with the government?
high clearance, security clearance.
And how do you know that?
Well, I'm just telling you, this is what it appears to be.
What it appears to be. So you don't have any proof of that. That's what you're guessing it is.
And you don't have any proof there isn't.
We've all been gathering online and talking together as Americans and uniting. And
do you think it's maybe just it makes you comfortable talking with other frustrated, sometimes angry people?
Yes.
But maybe it's not true because there's no evidence of it. It's just stuff being talked about on the internet, right?
there hasn't been any non-evidence yet.
A major mantra among QAnon followers? The press is the enemy.
You guys are.
So you don't believe in the First Amendment?
Oh, I totally believe in the
No,
First
well, you
Amendment.
don't. You just said the press is
Well,
the
you
enemy.
guys are weaponized. You guys are totally weaponized by the CIA.
What is that?
You guys are weaponized
By the CIA.
By the CIA.
I don't know anybody in the CIA except a couple of people I've interviewed over the years.
fair. Okay.
But weaponized, what does that even mean? Like you say stuff that doesn't even mean anything.
The term
Weaponized by the CIA.
conspiracy theorist. The term.
Do you think I'm weaponized by the CIA?
Maybe not to your knowledge, and that's unfortunate.
You believe there is a deep state.
Yes.
And what do you think that deep state's doing? You think they're running this country?
I think they were, and they're petrified now
And do you
because
think-
they're losing their control.
But Donald Trump's the president. He's running the country, right?
Yeah, but he's having to fight against the
I mean,
deep
he
state.
said he could do it all himself. Everything would be so easy when he came into office. And you think he's fighting with the deep state a year and a half into his term?
I think he's been fighting since before he was elected.
And who is in this deep state? Who are the people in it?
Oh, I definitely believe that, like, the Clintons, the Bushes, the Obamas.
So you think the Clintons, the Bushes, and the Obamas are running this country as we stand here in the rain?
No, they're trying.
The anonymous Q is a hero to many here. One man actually hoping to communicate with Q by looking straight into our camera.
Is it possible you're believing bogus information, yes or no?
Is it possible that I'm believing bogus information?
No.
I mean, let's see. Let's see, Q. Let's see.
Now, it's absurd. I mean, when you get down to the brass tacks of it, QAnon has asserted some of the things like back in 2017, Donald Trump went overseas to partake in a summit, essentially that happens every year. It's an annual summit. I believe it's something to do with the Asian Pacific and meetings of the minds of heads of state there. Well, at that point in time, Q asserted that Donald Trump was going over to North Korea to actually hammer out the North Korean nuclear deal at that point in time. QAnoners were, so happy and were rejoicing and saying that Donald Trump got done what nobody else could get done before. Well, we now have reports this week from the United Nations that are saying that North Korea has still continued to produce nuclear weapons in their program. So unless that was part of Donald Trump's deal that he made with Kim Jong-un, there is nothing to that assertion that Q has made. Q also asserts that Donald Trump is, in a long line of presidents, the only president that has been elected that isn't part of this pedophilic cabal of continuing corruption in the United States government. Now, let's be clear. Of course, there's corruption in the United States government. And what we're seeing as of right now is that Mueller, being tasked to root out anything that had to deal with Russian collusion in the 2016 elections, is also uncovering things that don't necessarily have to deal with Russia. Just said a couple of cases that he farmed out to the Southern District of New York this week that had to deal with lobbyists not registering as foreign agents, kind of like what Paul Manafort is in trouble, as well as is in jail for during his trial right now. The main thing that I want you to take away from this situation is that Donald Trump, nor his White House, has done a good job as far as separating him from these fringe theory conspiracies. And with Pizzagate, you can look that up, we see that when that bleeds over into real life and not just online racist chat boards like 4chan or 8chan, that things can happen that put people in danger. Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' lawyer, was followed by one of the QAnoners as he was leaving his office, as well as some others have asserted that if anything happens with Donald Trump during his presidency, as far as impeachment or any indictments that might come from Mueller, then these people feel that the deep state is trying to overthrow Donald Trump and they need to do something to stop it. What this theory asserts is that Donald Trump is going to eventually lock up all of his political opposition, lock up everyone that he has any issues with politically, including Hillary, Obama, John Podesta, and many others, a slew of many others. I would I would suggest that you go check out this theory online, but just maintain that what a lot of what this theory asserts is things that Donald Trump has been accused of, like child rape or adultery or corruption, dealing with other foreign governments, and it puts them back on everyone else who might seem as a danger or an enemy of Donald Trump. Like I said, the White House hasn't done a good job of distancing him from it, and it seems like Donald Trump's become increasingly, what can we say, unhinged as of late. Friday night, he decided to attack LeBron James for the first time. He essentially called him dumb, which, you know, kind of have to think. LeBron James just opened up the I Promise School in Akron, Ohio. It's a school that does a bunch of things for underprivileged children and at-risk youth, as well as their parents, by sending them to a GED program and job placement training. It also gives the kids the ability to have a full ride scholarship to Akron University after they complete their high school education. So one of the things you have to ask is, why would Donald Trump attack LeBron? Is it because Mueller's closing in on his son? After reports that Donald Trump Jr. might be on the hook for his meeting in Trump Tower with Russians back before the 2016 election. It's just one of those things you have to think about, because he's tweeting up a storm, and really actually nothing's essentially getting done right now. He's on the campaign trail, trying to, be on the bully pulpit for a bunch of Republicans that necessarily don't want him there campaigning for him. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. Like I said, I would tell you all to go look at this QAnon conspiracy. It's a little hard to believe, and the people that do believe it all seem to have one thing in common, that they don't see how they could be the ones in the wrong, because the mainstream media has an agenda against Donald Trump. Well, I'm not mainstream media. I don't have any agenda against Donald Trump. I don't like him. I dislike his policies. But one thing I do know is that he runs the government. He is the president of the United States. And there is no deep state conspiracy against him. He just doesn't agree with the people that he put into power, because they're all people he appointed. Remember the whole only the best people. I hire only the best. So, thank you guys for tuning in this week. If you want to talk to me more about the QAnon conspiracy or anything else of that nature, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. Like and subscribe down below. Leave me a comment. And I want to thank you all for watching another episode of NOBULL. Thank you.